This is Satokie Mining's Kyle site. As you can see behind us, we got 6 containers and 3 different transformers. Total, we got 5 megawatts running here, and we'll be expanding up to 15 megawatts here in the next few months. So right here next to me, we got one of our upstream data containers. This is rated for 900 kilowatts. Each container has 240 ASIC slots in it. These containers are air-cooled. They have positive and negative pressure. They basically use 2 different aisles to be able to cool the ASICs. Hot air goes out from the outside, cold air gets sucked in from the intake from the bottom. Right behind you, we have one of our transformers. So we have 3 transformers on site. This site is a total of 5 megawatts right now. It's going to be expandable to 15 megawatts. Each one of these transformers is 2550 kVA, connects to 2 containers each. Each one of these containers is about a megawatt. And so each transformer is running about 2 megawatts worth of power connected to each one of these containers. So in one of these containers, we can run about 240 units. Each unit is about 100 to 150 terahash, which makes an average of about 25 petahash per unit. That translates to about $2,500 per day mined in each one of these containers. At this site, we have 6 containers. And so in total, we're at about $15,000 a day in revenue. Considering we want the most optimal environment to run our ASICs in, you can see here in front of us, we have smart PDUs, which allows us to pull data from each individual unit to make sure that they're running at the correct temperature and hash rate.
And now, as you can see from the inside, it doesn't really look like a container. It actually is a data center. Container is kind of an old term that's been carried on because originally when Bitcoin mining started, you could start with a regular laptop, and then eventually we went into something called ASICs, which are application integrated circuits. They're specialized computers that are purposely built for mining Bitcoin. And so the only way to run those computers effectively was to retrofit old shipping containers with cooling systems and data systems so that you can run multiple of those ASICs in those containers. This container specifically is a modular data center that can run 240 ASICs. And the reason we went with these is because we have smart PDUs here that can control each one of these computers individually at the power level and at the software level. So we can plug in and remotely operate each one of those mining computers. That's a big reason why we went with this specific unit. Also, airflow is critical when doing air cooling in an environment. We're currently in West Texas, and it's very challenging to run here because of the weather. It's really, really hot here. And so we need to make sure that we have the highest amount of airflow possible. And this specific spec of container has one of the highest CFM ratings specifically to be able to run air-cooled units.
So each of these PDUs you see here is rated for 415 volts and steps it down to 240 for the machines to use. In each container, we have 10 PDUs, and they add up to 900 kilowatts total of capacity for this container, so we can run about 240 units. So as we saw outside with the 2550 kVA transformers that we have, our power is stepped down to a lower voltage to those. It's ran through the electrical panel that you can see on the outside of the containers, and then it's distributed to each of the 10 PDUs that you see here in front of us. As you can see here above us with these big black electrical cables that are running overhead, it delivers a lot of electricity to each of the PDUs we see here in front of us. One of the great things of utilizing a modular data center container is that if we ever wanted to move sites or transport these somewhere else, it'd be really easy to transport them onto a truck.
These units are fully mobile, right? Right now we have them sitting on concrete, but we can easily just pull them back up on a crane, load them up on a truck, and move them elsewhere. One of the main reasons we're here specifically, right, is because it's pretty remote. There's a lot of power generation that goes on in West Texas, and this was an opportune site for us. But if there were any changes either on the power markets or anything specifically compliance related within West Texas or Texas as a whole, we could just pick up our units, skid mount them, and move them away. Skid mounting is essentially placing a non-mobile structure on essentially a trailer with wheels so that you can haul it away.
So as you can see here on the outside of the containers, we have the louvers, which control the direction of airflow. This is our cold air intake, and at the top we have the hot air exhaust. This makes sure that we're always pulling in the cool air and the hot air is released away from the intake. So in this container here, we're running 240 S19J Pros. In the other containers we have on site, we're about to be running the new generation of S21s. At times it can be difficult to procure ASICs. We work directly with Bitmain to procure all the units that we'll be running here at the site.
Let's go to this power button right here. And then right now all of it's off, and I'll tell it to turn on. And then I'll move to the next one. I'll do that 10 times. for our 10 PDUs in here. We do have the load sync is smart enough to do it itself. Once it, like a certain price point has been set, say like our maximum price of the electricity we want to pay is $50 a megawatt. If it goes above that, they start shutting down.
So our containers here are actually synced to ERCOT market data so that we can optimize our operations around real-time power pricing. If you look here, we have the ability to set a strike price to wherever we want to curtail at. Usually we want to set a strike anywhere from, let's call it $90 to $150.
And as you can hear right now, the machines are starting to click on, and it'll take about 5 minutes for all of them to come back online.
When it comes to Bitcoin mining, it's all about cheap power cost. We utilize a software called Linkcoin that allows us to automatically curtail our site and shut off our machines anytime power pricing reaches a certain point.
All right, so right here is our transformers. They're rated at 2.5 megawatts. The high voltage side is getting about 14.4 kV, and then that gets stepped down to 240. From there, those will get splintered off in parallel to these two containers, container 1 and container 2. From the transformer, they meet their way to this cabinet. This is our main breaker panel. From here, there's two 800 amp breakers, and those are what I call the main breakers. Those control the whole facility inside there. The right side of the container is controlled by the right panel. The left side is controlled by the left side. For demonstration purposes, I do have it off for I can show you the inside of it. So this right here is our 800 amp breaker. The only way to turn it on and off is actually from this handle. So it's merely impossible for me to work on it whenever it's live. If it is live, I want to isolate the transformer for me to do some work here. Here you can see the main breaker from there. That main breaker gets splintered off into 6 breakers. 5 of those control the PDUs, 1 of them controls the fans. The same thing is going on this opposite side.
Here you can see the offtake poles that are pulling the power into our site, right? These might look like something advanced, but these are something that you would find running in any neighborhood or in the city. Only difference is instead of feeding 1,000 different homes, it's feeding the 5 megawatts that we have here on the site. On this offtake pole behind me here, you can actually see our site recloser. Another way to look at a recloser is pretty much a big surge protector. It actually monitors all the voltages coming into the site, and if anything gets unstable, there's any power surges, it actually physically disconnects the power flowing to the site to keep all of our infrastructure and ASICs protected.
If you want to come visit one of our sites or learn more about what we're doing at Satokie Mining, please reach out.